What is going on, guys? My name is Braden, and today we're going to be making this simple 555 timer LED flasher. And as simple as it is, it's quite complex in how it works. Without further ado, let's jump right into it. So before we fully jump right into this project, I think it's important for you to at least know what each one of these pins do. And first off, I think it's important to know that the 555 timer is also called a multi-vibrator. So your first pin here is your ground pin. It's always going to be connected to ground. Your second pin is your trigger. And the trigger on a 555 timer starts the timer when the voltage of this pin drops below 1/3 the supply voltage. When the timer is triggered by pin 2, the out is high. And this is because there's actually a voltage divider in here, and in one of my other videos, I might cover the internals of a 555 timer. Now, pin 3 is the output, so that's going to be right here on the 555 timer. And the output's either going to be low or high, and the shape of the wave produced depends on the connections of the other pins. So you can have the traditional square wave, or you can have like a triangle wave, right? So your fourth pin is going to be your reset pin. And this is used to essentially reset the 555. And this pin must always have a supply voltage to run the timer, but when you ground it, the timer is interrupted and pin 2 must be triggered to activate it again, your trigger pin up here. Pin 5 is your control voltage. So this is normally grounded in most 555 timer circuits because most applications really don't require it. So normally you attach a 0.01 microfarad capacitor to level out the supply voltage fluctuations. So pin 6 is going to be your threshold, and this monitors, this is pin 6 right here. So this pin is going to monitor the voltage across the capacitor that's discharged by pin 7. And when this voltage reaches 2/3 of the supply voltage, then pin 3 outputs low, which pin 3 is your output. Pin 7's up here, we haven't gotten to it yet, but that's your discharge. The output's low and the timing cycle ends. So that's when, in this particular circuit, that's when our LED is going to turn off. So your discharge, pin 7. This pin is used to discharge an external capacitor, in which our external capacitor that it's going to be discharging is going to be this one, our 22 microfarad capacitor. Pin 8 is going to be the supply voltage. This is when the positive supply voltage between 4.5 and 15 volts must be applied. So 15 volts, that's quite a bit of voltage for just simple electronics. So these are pretty robust ICs. So now let's get into the schematic. So this is a pretty basic schematic. I pulled off a basic 555 timer circuit off the internet and modified it just a little bit. And so this is pretty similar to what it's going to look like on the breadboard. That's why it's in such disarray. I thought it might be a little bit easier to follow, but, well, it's a learning experience. So over here is going to be your LED, and it's going to be connected to ground. Well, you know what? We'll take this pin by pin. So your first pin right here, that's your ground pin, right? And that's going to be grounded. Your pin 2 is your trigger pin, and it's going to be over here. It's going to be on the same rail as your pin 6 and your pin 7, but pin 7 is going to have a resistor that it goes through before it gets to this rail here. This rail is going to output to this 22 farad capacitor. Now this capacitor is really interesting because the higher the capacitance that you put, so this, it doesn't have to be 22 microfarad, but the bigger capacitance you put on this capacitor, the longer it takes for the LED to turn off and on. Now, the smaller capacitance, it means that it's going to blink a lot quicker. Now, so pin 3, it's going to go through a resistor before hitting the LED, and then it's going to ground. Your pin 4 is going to go straight to your supply voltage because that's your reset pin. Pin 5 here, it's going to, that's your control voltage, so it's going to go through the 0.01 microfarad capacitor to kind of balance out any fluctuations in the supply voltage, and it's going to go to ground. Now your pin 6 is going to go through the, going to join this junction right here and go through the 22 microfarad capacitor. We already talked about pin 7, and pin 8 is your supply voltage. That's where you're going to be applying your voltage. And for me in this circuit, it's going to be 9 volts. If you guys want to use, you know, some AA's or something like that, then okay, but you're going to need to arrange them in a way that it can power the 555 timer. Alright guys, so this is what your circuit should look like if you use the 22 microfarad capacitor, like I was saying. But you can use a different capacitance capacitor. So for example, if you want it to blink faster, use a lower capacitance capacitor, like a 2.3 microfarad. And it's blinking really quickly. You can't see it, it kind of looks like it's pulsating on the camera, but it's blinking really quick. And if you want it to blink slower, use something like this. This is a, let's see here, a 220 microfarad capacitor, so quite a bit more than the 22 microfarad. And so as you can see now, it blinks much slower. And that is about the extent of this project, so thank you for watching. If you liked the video, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you next time.